SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome back. In lecture 9, we will talk about the role of government in urban water supply. The different concepts that we will cover are on water supply responsibilities, the role of central government, national policy framework, government programs, and then finally service delivery levels and benchmarks. So, when we talk about the responsibilities in regards to water supply and particularly urban water supply, then water supply is basically a state subject. That means state government is responsible for supplying water, and the state government actually assigns the responsibility to the different urban local bodies like the municipal corporations, municipalities, and nagar panchayats and so on. So, as per constitution, both center and state can plan, manage and finance water supply. But what we have seen is, but for particularly for maintaining, for even though we are managing, management is there, but usually operation is taken care by the state or its agencies. During 1970s and 80s, it was seen that the duty of water supply provision in many states got transferred from the ULBs, that means from the urban local bodies, which are like municipal corporations and all, to specialized water supply agencies. So, this could be government departments or certain other corporations that were formed. And currently, we see that even though state is the one which plans, designs and executes and also sometimes operate this particular water supply schemes in urban area, it's usually the state departments such as public health engineering department which actually does the entire process of actually planning, designing and executing this kind of task. In certain other states, we see that state owned corporations or companies, this even though it is owned by the state government, but they have got a little bit more independence. Like for example, in Uttar Pradesh, it's the Uttar Pradesh Jal Nigam, Maharashtra Jivan Pradhikaran in Maharashtra, and state water boards such as the Tamil Nadu Water and Drainage Board, Delhi Jal Boards. So, these are the different agencies which actually does the work of actually executing water supply schemes in urban areas. And the role of center is primarily to oversee the interstate distribution of water amongst the different states. Now, when we talk about the role of central government, we see that the main responsibility falls on the Ministry of Urban and Ministry of Urban Affairs, Housing and Urban Affairs, which is responsible for financing different water supply schemes in urban area. And even though this particular department has got many divisions, water supply is not taken up by the particular actual execution of water supply projects is not taken up by this ministry, but they usually finance it. And the main role of this particular ministry is basically making policies and of course financing. But there are other ministries that are involved, which is like the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation, Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and so on. So, as you can see, there are several ministries which are involved, and because there is so many stakeholders, there was low accountability, and that actually was the result why some of these ministries were combined. I will come to that. And some of the major regulatory agencies that actually checks the water use and pollution and so other things. These are the Central Groundwater Authority, Central Water Commission, Central Pollution Control Board, and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So, these are the different regulatory agencies which are there, which operate in this particular sector. Now, as I was talking about, there were different stakeholders in terms of water supply, sanitation and all. So, currently in 2019, recently in 2019, some of these ministries like the Ministry of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation, and with drinking water and sanitation. So, these are the certain ministries which were combined, and these were termed as a new ministry was formed. This is called the Ministry of Jal Shakti. And some of the primary work that this particular ministry is supposed to perform is provision of clean drinking water, then international and interstate water disputes. So, it's the job of this ministry to resolve all this. Then two new projects were taken up. One is the Namami Ganga project, which is cleaning Ganga, its tributaries and its sub-tributaries. So, this is one major project, and other is Nal Se Jal scheme. So, that means in this particular scheme, the government envisages to provide piped water supply to every household by 2024. So, these are the different targets that the ministry has got, and these are the overall responsibilities of the ministry. And as I told you, it has reduced the multiple stakeholders and has brought the entire gamut of work in this particular sector under the Ministry of Jal Shakti. So, this is the primary role of central government in terms of water supply. So, what are the different national policy frameworks that are used that actually influences urban water supply? One is the National Water Policy. This was made by the Ministry of Water Resources, and this is in regards to planning and development of the different water resources in the country. And this was formulated initially in 1987 and was subsequently revised in 2002 and 2012, and currently it is being revised as well. And based on this particular this water policies, many of the state governments also have devised their own policies as well. And some of this, as per this National Water Policy 2012, many decisions were taken. Some of the important ones are this interstate river water disputes amended bill. So, this one of these bills that was passed in 2019 pretty recently. So, is the interstate river water disputes, because we have had several disputes between states regarding water use for particular rivers. Then the Dam Safety Bill 2019, this was also passed. Then the two draft bills have been circulated. One is the Draft National Water Framework Bill and the Draft and the River Basin Management Bill. This was circulated by the Ministry of Jal Shakti. And then there is the Model Bill for Conservation, Protection and Regulation and Management of Groundwater. So, this is another bill that is in circulation. And in addition to these bills that has been circulated, which wants to reform the entire sector, there are certain other projects which have been taken, or certain other this as a part of policy, some other efforts have been given in certain other dimensions. For example, the National Water Informatics Center has come up which is under the National Hydrology Project. And here it is proposed to use remote sensing and GIS extensively in the study of water resources, and accordingly master plan for artificial recharge of groundwater in India is being prepared. Then a web based water resources information system, India WRIS, has been also being prepared. So, these are the different things that are also going on along with these different bills which plan to reform this entire sector. So, what is one of the primary things that has happened in recent years is the government has identified water scarcity as one of the biggest challenges that India face, and accordingly the water policy is being revised. The National Water Policy is being revised currently, and it's revised use, and several of these bills are actually come up because of that. And one of the bills, this is that National Water Bill, which was circulated in 2016. This is one of the bills which shows the change in the way people think about water resources, the change in the mindset of the decision makers, and so on. Right. So, some of the new things that are now being considered are which are primary highlights for this particular bill are now the bill talks about right to water for life. That means every person has got right to have water. So this is something which was not there earlier in the bills, in the law, in the in the frameworks. And all drinking water agency should are liable to maintain certain standards for drinking water provision. So it cannot be like one agency would be giving less, another agency more. So everything has to be brought to certain standards. Then rivers needs to be rejuvenated, and how? There are different ways it has to be done. The first part is ensure connectivity of flow, which is Aviral Dhara. Then Nirmal Dhara, which looks into the quality of the flow, quality of water. Then Swachh Kinara, this is like how to make the river banks cleaner, river bank development projects and all these things are being thought under this. And then rejuvenating the aquifers which recharge this particular river. Then protecting the ecosystems and which are dependent on this particular water, and usually it also incorporates prevention of encroachment into the river beds, prevention of sand mining. This actually is one way of protecting the overall ecosystem. Then it has to be people centered water management. So rainwater harvesting, watershed development and participatory irrigation management, these are also proposed in this particular water bill. And then water use and land use, as per proper land use and sustainable agricultural practices. It's not to plant crops which draw in too much water in areas there is lot of water deficit. So these are the different challenges, these are the different things that this particular bill propose. Then treatment and use of wastewater, integrated river basin development and management, and then panchayats, municipalities and corporations will be incorporated into this management of projects. So this is something new which is now being thought of. Planning for water security during droughts, floods, then use of water conservation technologies such as drip irrigation and sprinklers, groundwater recharge structures, energy efficient pumps, less water intensive crops. These are other things this actually is being thought of. In addition, all this new water resource information system that we just talked about, this resolution of water conflicts, all these things are also being talked about in this particular water bill. So this is the new direction the government is thinking about how to manage water in our country. So what are the different government programs that are available? Historically, we have seen that for water supply, there has been several programs that has been undertaken in India, starting from integrated development of small and medium towns. It was during 1979, and then we had this accelerated urban water supply program around 1992. Then 2 million housing program during 1998-99, where water supply was also one part. Valmiki Ambedkar Awas Yojana in 2001, again water supply is one part of it. Total sanitation campaigns, even though it is mostly about sanitation, water is also water supply to the toilets and all is also part of it. So that is total sanitation campaign was there in 1992. Then it got renamed as Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan in 2012, and finally Swachh Bharat Mission in 2014. So more or less certain parameters of these programs has changed, but more or less the target is more or less same. That is, we have to provide proper sanitation for the people. We have to provide water for this to ensure sanitation and so on. Then there were two schemes, urban reform or funds, you can say, that urban reform incentive fund of 2003 and pooled finance development scheme of 2006, which were used to fund certain water supply projects as well. And then around December 2005, the JNNURM, this Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission was launched, which actually had proposed several projects which involved urban transport, drainage, sewerage and water supply. So this was several projects were proposed for different urban areas, and you can get funding under this scheme to actually improve water supply in different urban areas of India. So looking into the current government program starting from 2014-15 onwards, we can see that certain changes have been happened. The JNURM program is not currently being pursued. Instead, we have got Atal Mission for Regenerating and Urban Transformation, AMRUT, replacing JNURM to certain extent. Within this program, we have water supply and sewerage improvement programs. Then we have got the Smart Cities Mission, where certain cities are being selected and certain projects including water supply projects are being approved under that. and where in this particular projects the focus is on smart metering, leakage identification, preventive maintenance, and water quality modeling. These are the new things which are coming. So that means these are the things when for certain cities, for certain showcase cities, this kind of smart system in for water supply is being thought of. So this could be later on be replicated in other cities as well. Then we have the Swachh Bharat Mission, urban of course, which looks into the waste management and sanitation, and Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana Hriday. So these are the two other programs which looks into not exactly into water supply, but it looks into sanitation, it looks into funding for heritage cities where water supply is also involved. So these are the different government programs through which funding for water supply has been available, or different programs which has looked into directly implementing different forms of water supply projects in Indian urban areas. So currently government has also as we have discussed earlier, that service levels and benchmarks have been prepared for different urban areas, and for water supply also we have service levels and benchmarks, and these are a minimum set of standard performance parameters using which we can actually determine if a particular urban area is performing its task, and based on its performance it can further get grants so that to implement other schemes and so on. So this is actually a way to compare between urban areas to see where the urban area is in terms of water supply. And as you can see in this particular table, the different parameters that are used for determining these benchmarks are coverage of water supply connections in an urban area, where the benchmark value is something around 100%. That means the entire urban area should have water supply connections. Then per capita supply of water at least has to be 135 LPCD for cities, for all cities, right? And then extent of non-revenue water around 20%, and extent of metering around 100%, and continuity of water supply 24 hours. It's not going to be intermittent, it has to be 24 hours. Efficiency of redressal of consumer complaints at least 80%, quality of water supply at 100%, cost recovery 100%, efficiency in collection of water charges 90%. So this is the targets, these are the benchmarks. All urban areas should achieve or try to reach these particular targets, and based on their performance, they could be also their performance, the amount of grants that should be given to them. These all could be decided. So Government of India norms for per capita water supply is also determined based on IS 1172/1993 that we have discussed earlier. So this is the Indian Standard Code of Basic Requirements of Water Supply, Drainage and Sanitation. So this is the standard code that we should follow, and individual states has got their separate norms. Sometimes they have introduced their own norms, but this is the primary norm that we have to follow. And water demand is catered to by both municipal supply and personal sources. So when we do estimates of amount of water resources that are being used in a particular urban area, we should think not only about the municipal supply that is being provided, but personal sources like wells and all people actually use in their buildings and all, that they use within their particular residential plot, that they dig up or they put in some deep tubes in certain apartment buildings. So this also has to be considered. So to conclude, water supply is a state subject, and state departments and state-owned corporations are responsible for executing water supply projects, and sometimes also they are responsible for its operation and maintenance. A new ministry named Jal Shakti has been set up in 2019, and the government plans to provide piped water supply to every house by 2024. And water scarcity has been identified as one of the biggest challenges facing India, and accordingly the national water policy is being currently revised to address this challenge. So these are some of the references that you can follow. Thank you.